that. Start the recording. Start the stream. Save this. And ready?
Yep.
Going live. And we're live here on Facebook. I would like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And as always, I'd like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good, Mike. So, weather's been kind of somewhat warm one day, and now it's back to being a little bit cold. But yeah, overall, pretty good week. No snow. It's just
Wait,
kind of
time out,
fluctuating
time out.
temperatures.
Speak for yourself. I worked 3 days this week because we had 2 snow days.
Wow.
We got 8
I don't
inches
get the
of snow.
snow days. I don't get the snow days very often.
And it was blowing so hard that they shut down interstates and highways up here. So pulled the plows a couple of times. It was bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's what you get. That's what
Hey.
kind of you get of living up north, though. But
I signed up for it. I did. Totally accept my fate. I totally get it. I'm not mad at it. I'm telling you. You were saying how you didn't get much snow this week. We did.
Well, we didn't. Well, I don't think we got any.
Yeah.
I don't think we got any this week, really.
Mankato, where we go to our Sam's Clubs and Aldi's on a regular basis, 18 inches of snow fell in 2 days. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a little cray, but we made it through. Our driveway is now accessible. Our roads are passable. We're back at it.
Good deal. So kind of a light topic list
I got some
on
things
the
up
shows
here.
this week. Exactly. We got some things that we can stretch it into.
We got some things. This isn't going to be a sports heavy show, but it's going to be a fun show. I think. I got a plan. I got a plan for derailment, and it's going to be bigger than the DeWitt derailment, but not quite as big as the Ohio derailment. We're not going to poison.
I'll go with it, Mike.
We're not going to poison an entire watershed and destroy ecosystems. But we're going to get distracted for a while and close down some roads and have some fun.
Gotcha. All right, Mike. So we're going to be going into the NASCAR corner because we got to talk about the Daytona 500 and the Pala Casino 400 out in Fontana. Mike, what are some other odd topics that we're going to have? What are some other filler topics that may or may not get covered here on the show this week?
We're going to talk about Ron and everything going on in the quarterback carousel that is the NFL right now. We may touch on the NBA All-Star Game, and guess what, Rich? Baseball's back, and we're gonna be watching. Hey, man, it's baseball back. All that and more.
Right, Mike.
But what should you do? Or should I do?
Mike, why don't you go ahead and roll? Intro.
Okay. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay. Before we get into everything else we're going to talk about this week, we're going to talk distraction number 1, the poll question. Rich, this week it was Mr. Brightside versus Welcome to the Jungle. Where did you vote?
I went with Welcome to the Jungle.
Because we got fun and games. We got everything you want.
And I also think that Welcome to the Jungle has more play.
Yeah.
Across other sports, where I think I found Mr. Brightside as a tradition that kind of gets done at Michigan football. And I know we got some Michigan fans that
Yep, yep. And none of them voted on this poll question.
none of them voted, but not even none of the Coutures voted.
No, no. Well, they didn't vote for that. Let me see. Did they vote for?
Okay.
No, no, they didn't. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I
So what do
voted.
you?
I voted
Okay.
for coming out of my cage. I'm just doing just fine.
Because you're Mr. Brightside.
I'm Mr. Brightside.
Gotcha. So Mike, who won?
Welcome to the jungle. It was a 42,
Okay.
42 victory. Um, yeah, your brother Ken Moreland and Sean Hurley all voted for Welcome to the Jungle. You know what? I don't blame you. It's a great song. You hear it, you get pumped. It seems like a song that you would listen to if you were doing, like, if you're trying to pump up a crowd. I don't blame you. But I love the Killers. And I literally, this week, like most weeks, I try to vote for what I think is awesome at a stadium. This week, I
Mhm.
100% voted for the song I like more.
Gotcha. All right, Mike. So this week we're gonna go with "The House Is a Rockin'" going up against Apache "Jump on It."
Yeah, this is going to be a little tough. They both have special place in my heart, but I think I know what I'm going to vote for. We'll see.
All right. So do I. So do I.
Okay.
All
We're,
right, Mike. So that's our poll question. You can vote on that at Fans of Balls and Sticks on Facebook or on Balls and Sticks, the podcast on Facebook. And if you want to be notified when we put our weekly poll questions when those are published, make sure to like or follow those pages.
yeah. Rich, I'm going to call an audible here. Let's go to the NFL.
Okay.
We're going to we're going to we're going to change things up. We're going to talk NFL right now. And we're going to talk about Aaron, the quarterback carousel,
All right.
and we're going to talk a little XFL.
All right, Mike. So you pivoted you pivoted us to this direction. So where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with the Aaron story.
All right. So Aaron Rodgers went on his last known public appearance on the Pat McAfee show. He was talking about how he was going on a 4-day darkness retreat.
Yep.
And this was something that he's had on his schedule for months or years. It isn't something that just popped into his head. You know what? I'm just going to screw with the media and say that I'm going to go on a darkness retreat. And I'm going to do it after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So this darkness retreat, is he sitting in a room in the dark? Is this kind of like one of those chamber things where you're kind of floating in water and
it's more
darkness?
than that. It's
okay.
It's not just that. It's a guided, meditated time in darkness. So he has a guide, I suppose, is what you would call him, who is there to help him find inner peace, which is kind of what the purpose of
the ayahuasca or whatever thing that he did last year.
Honestly, I mean, you and I both know what he's looking for. He's looking for the answer and something to fill that hole in his heart. And there's only really one thing that does it, and that would be Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so he's gonna continue to do these outlandish and ridiculous things to try to find his inner self and blah blah blah. You know what? Your inner self is terrible. You don't want to know your inner self because the heart is a wicked thing. That's what we're told. But that's what Aaron's trying to find. It's not going to be... he's not gonna. I mean, it's not gonna be great, but that's what he's looking for, and good luck to him, I suppose.
Yeah. So what did you feel about his comments talking about on McAfee's show, saying, I don't know what rumors you're hearing about where I want to do, what I want to do, where I want to go, or where my next step's going to be. Because obviously, if you're talking to one of those people, they're not in my inner circle. Because only my inner circle knows totally what I'm feeling about. And if you're hearing reports, they're not one of my guys. So it's all this drama that he's producing.
No, I totally think it's an accurate thing. Like, I was watching SportsCenter this week. Was it Sunday that I was texting you about it, or was it Monday? Sunday night. I was watching SportsCenter. And they're like, Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets? Oh, let's talk about... They're making up stories.
Oh, yeah.
They're making up stories. This is the problem I have with the way that sports media is. There is nothing to talk about. We're going to make up a story? You and I, I'm not here to make up the story of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I'm here to tell you that what he's doing and how he's trying to find his inner peace isn't going to work. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm not here to speculate on where he's going to go. By the way, you know what my speculation right now on where he's going to go in next year? Green Bay. Why? He has a contract. He has, a $42 million contract?
Yeah. So
you think another team is going to be willing to take that on 100% of that?
Oh, plus draft picks to get him in a trade.
Right.
It's not a situation. He's not in a situation like Derek Carr is, where he's a free agent and can literally choose who he wants to sign with. He's under contract.
Aaron Rodgers
for 2 more years.
Is going back to Green Bay. He's got 2 more years on his contract. Even if they wanted to get rid of him, they either have to buy him out, and I don't know what his buyout is, to get him to retire, or they have to trade him. But there's a no trade clause, so he has to approve the trade. Are you looking up to...
Actually, I don't know if he has a no trade clause.
I'm pretty sure he did. If he didn't, that was dumb of him, and he needs to make sure next time he gets his no trade clause, and anybody that didn't get him a no trade clause deserves to be fired. But I don't get it. Why would you... Why do we think he's going somewhere? Because they didn't do well this year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I get your point by saying that totally about talking about things like having the things like, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Jets. I mean, I like those types of stories talking about, well, these are the teams that make sense for Aaron Rodgers to go to, where they kind of list off pros and cons, and at the end of the article, based on the information we presented, the best fit for him is this team. But ultimately, if you're the Green Bay Packers saying, we want multiple first-round draft picks, multiple draft picks to trade Aaron Rodgers and his inflated contract for his age to you.
Hey, Rich, I got some
and
questions for you.
I don't even think if you're another team, do you want to give up that draft capital to get a guy that's going to bring all the drama to possibly at the end of the year go, well, I'm going to go into this sort of retreat, and at the end of it, I may or may not decide whether I want to play next year, and then you're on the hook for the cap charge of his contract, of the last contract year.
Yeah. So let's look at some things. Their record was 8-9. Okay. Well, you're right. The last 3 years, they've been before this late year. So 2019, 2020, and 2021, they were 13-3, 13-3, 13-4. They were first in the division. But let's go the 2 years prior to that. In 2018, they were 6-9-1. 6-9-1. That's a pretty terrible third. By the way, third place in the division.
So was that the year that was that Mike McCarthy's last year?
Yes.
And then LaFleur came in and they went back up to being the class of the division again.
But let's look at 2017. They were 7-9. Oh, okay. And then before that, they were 10-6, 10-6, 12-4, 8-7. Like, yes, Aaron Rodgers normally gets double digits, but he's had multiple years. 1, 2, 3, 2. We'll skip this year. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 years. I want to say. 5 years. 5 years in their division, or 5 years since he's been there, that they've been sub 500. Oh. Yeah, that's a little weird. People have down years. Can we let... Aaron Rodgers was playing at MVP level in 2020 and 2021. That takes a lot out of a man. He's not thrilled with the way the team works. But then last year, when we all thought he was done, he went and signed an extension for 3 more years for like $100 million. Why do people... Rich, what actual evidence is there that Aaron Rodgers is actually going to leave this team? Thank you. You've presented all of the actual evidence that Aaron Rodgers is going to leave this team. Any pundit out there that says, "Oh, he's gonna leave this," you are doing it for clicks. Get out of here. Let's actually talk about what the evidence shows. He's got a contract. That says he's playing in Green Bay. They sat down at the bar, ponied up, and paid the bill. And they paid him pretty good.
Yep. I mean, the other thing that I have with Aaron Rodgers is that if you trade for him, you know he's not going to come in and do any additional offseason activities.
Yep.
That he's going to have to. So you saw how much that he struggled with his rookie receivers that he had no experience playing with because he chose not to do mini camps. He chose to do the bare minimum in the mandatory training camps and preseason games. So are you going to expect the same results if you put him on a team that has a better receiving core than he does? It's going to be a team where you see an Aaron Rodgers team struggle to begin the year because he's still learning the offense and getting used to his new receivers.
Yep. You're never going to convince me that it doesn't make sense. Aaron Rodgers is under contract until 2026. Like,
I almost think his best interest is to stay in Green Bay and ride it out. He knows his receivers now.
How about this?
If he leaves, I think there's going to be more of the pressure on. Well, was it a disappointment that the team gave up all these resources just to either finish with the same record or slightly better, and they lose in the wild card round with his new team? One,
where is Aaron Rodgers? So let's let's take away. We're gonna take. I'm not even talking football wise. I'm gonna talk outside of football. Where else is Aaron Rodgers gonna be able to be Aaron Rodgers and not get the flack for being Aaron Rodgers? If he goes to New York, he all of a sudden is in the biggest publicized football market out there. Yes, I understand that the Cowboys are quote unquote America's team and they get talked about. But when it comes to a fandom, the Jets fans are the most fickle, angry, and unapologetically loud fan bases out there. If you fart on the sidelines and they smell it, they're going to complain that you did something wrong. Why does Aaron want to go there?
Well, he doesn't have a choice.
Really?
He's under contract. He can say, "I want to." He can say, "I demand to be traded. I want to go here." Like
so he doesn't
there
have
could have been the
a.
discussions. I don't think he does have
I was
no
trying
trade
to
clause.
look into it. I mean, if they don't, that's good. Good job on them. So yeah, he apparently can be traded. Okay, that's. Oh man, that is. I don't know.
Oh no, I guess you're right. He does have a no trade clause that he could lift at his discretion.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought.
So I guess you are right. I'll see that one. I'll give you credit for that one.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way, if he said so, he could say that I demand to be traded, and I demand to be traded. I want to go to this team.
Yep.
Work it out. But still, the Packers are under no obligation to do that. They could say, well, we talked with this team. The compensation isn't there. The compensation isn't there because they don't have to. They don't have to, just because he's been a franchise icon for them, they don't have to pay that courtesy of honoring his request and trading him out of town. Brett Favre didn't want to go to the Jets. He wanted to go to the Vikings or a different team. Did the Packers honor that request? Nope. They traded him off to New York because they didn't want him in the same conference.
What team? Name another place where you can go and play as terribly as Aaron Rodgers did this year and still be loved by the fan base. I mean, outside of Chicago, we just have terrible quarterbacks and we're used to it. So being a terrible quarterback is just par for the course for us Bears fans. Let's be honest.
I think the one kind of franchise that sticks out to me is a guy that he could just go in there and he would be better.
I'm not saying better. I'm not saying better.
Oh, okay, I'm going to go better than the previous quarterback.
But basically, I'm saying Green Bay fawns over their quarterbacks as if they're they're God's gift to the earth. Nobody else does that. Nobody else. Though there is no accountability for Brett Favre in Green Bay. Why does he want to go anywhere else? I'll stop arguing that because I think I've made my point. There's no reason for him to go anywhere, and there's no reason for the team to trade him. Now, back to your point. Where would he go where he instantly improves the team?
I mean, instantly improves it because he's better than the incumbent guy if they didn't trade for him. It'd probably be the Jets, but I'd have to think the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
He could step right in there and he'd be an improvement over the next guy. However, I also think that no matter where he goes, whether it's a small medium market, a mid-major market, or a major market, if he doesn't get them to the playoffs or advance in the playoffs further than they already have gone, like if he goes to San Francisco because they're not confident in Trey Lance and Brock Purdy to be healthy enough, and so let's bring back the California boy back to San Francisco, the team that he grew up rooting for, and let's see if he's the missing piece that can get us to the Super Bowl. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl, that's going to be a failure. It's going to be looked at as a failure if he didn't meet our expectations.
Yep.
Just like it would have been if when Tom Brady left to go to Tampa. He
Here's
delivered.
a question.
He delivered, so it's his time in Tampa is not seen as a disappointment.
You just brought up another one, by the way. Tampa doesn't have a quarterback. Well, let's wait.
They don't.
Let's wait 3 more weeks. They might have a quarterback again in 3 weeks. We'll wait. Tom might still come back. Let's not kid ourselves here. But currently they don't have a quarterback. So would that be a decent fit?
It could be. It could be.
I did just thoughts. By the way,
and that's where I'm at.
Where's the number 1 fit that he will be at? Green Bay.
Green Bay.
I don't like it. He is a great quarterback. Whether or not he had a good year or not this last year, by the way, I see him, again, like you said, he has the experience with these guys this year. He understands them. He can communicate with them. Maybe some of them are willing to go down to Peru and smoke some ayahuasca with him. I don't know.
I mean, the other side of the coin is Green Bay fed up enough that they might lower their trade expectations.
But he doesn't have to go.
Get rid of him.
Is he gonna be willing to go anywhere that he doesn't want to go? So does it matter whether or not they lower those expectations?
All right. So one question that I heard driving around town,
yep,
on ESPN radio this year is that if you're a quarterback needy team that might have interest in Aaron Rodgers, is it worth waiting around for Aaron Rodgers to make up his mind on whether he would want to play for you or whether Green Bay will make the decision to trade him to you to wait around to see if you can acquire him, or do you sign a guy like Derek Carr that could be better than your previous quarterback just because I'm waiting on Rodgers?
Yeah. I guess that's a good question.
Take the Jets example. Let's say they've brought in Derek Carr.
Yep.
To talk with him so they could find out the inner workings, meet the coaching staff, see their vision for how he can fit in the offense.
By the way, how sad for him.
Feeling good about it.
The only team he ever wanted to play for is the only team he's ever played for, and it's the only team he ever wants to play for, and yet he can't retire. He could, but he's choosing not to retire because he's still good enough to play.
Yeah. So if you're a team like the Jets,
if I'm the Jets, honestly, I take him. I'd hire him today. Because I hate harping on the same style of argument, but if Green Bay was going to release Tom Brady, if Green Bay was going to release Aaron Rodgers, and they felt confident in Jordan Love, why would they sign a 3-year extension that goes past the date that Aaron Rodgers or that Jordan Love's 5th-year option would even be able to cover? So now you have to pay him like an actual quarterback?
Yeah, I didn't get that one either when they said 3 years. If you signed Aaron Rodgers to 3 years, Jordan Love, you should have put Jordan Love on the trade block.
Jordan Love, I think, is more likely to get traded than I think Aaron Rodgers is. Because if you thought Jordan Love was ready to go, you would have never signed that extension. You would have let Rodgers walk out that door. You would have said, "Let's go. We're ready. Bring in Jordan Love." You would have never signed that contract. So you obviously don't think that Jordan Love is ready to go. And if you do, then why did you ever sign that contract? You have no excuse. Can you think of anything? Am I missing something here?
I don't think you are. I mean, the only train of thought that you have along that is that Aaron Rodgers was your face of the franchise at that time. He still is the face of the franchise, and he gives you your best guaranteed chance to win.
Okay, but
And if the only way he was going to come back was a contract extension or reworking his deal to give him a little bit more security and back off of the whole, I want to be traded, and you're just now telling us this 2 days before the draft, or making demands of, I need some offensive weapons, or I need wide receivers. I need wide receivers.
if you're going to give him that contract, it's because you believe in him and you think he's the way to go. You gave him that contract. They're dealing with it. There is no way that they are gonna that they're gonna want to trade him because they don't think Jordan Love's ready. Give me one good reason why you would sign that contract. And if you're gonna tell me it's because he's the face of our franchise, well, isn't your hope that Jordan Love was gonna become the face of your franchise? And if you're ready, if you think he's ready enough, or if you think he's good enough, isn't it time to bring him in?
Yeah, but I agree. You got to make that decision to bring him in sooner or later.
So
now you're past the point of his rookie contract being an affordable, cheap contract because he's only making more and more money.
Yep.
The longer he sits on the bench, the less trade value he has because nobody else knows what you know.
Yep.
Seeing him in practice and running the scout team every single day, or running the training camps because Aaron Rodgers doesn't play in preseason and training camps.
You can't do
it.
it.
So more on that later. I'm sure we're going to have more on this later. It won't be the last time we talk about Aaron Rodgers because sooner or later, I'm sure either one of three things is going to happen. I'm choosing to retire. I've given all of the game that I can, and I'm ready to move on. 2, I want to be traded, and here are the teams I'd accept a trade to. Or 3, I'm going to return to the Green Bay Packers. And then making the decision of how does Green Bay take that news.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen out of all of it. At least in my opinion. I think that's the three or four scenarios that are going to happen. They're going to play out in this situation.
Yep.
So still plenty of things to talk about. So you mentioned the XFL, Mike. Did you watch any of the XFL action?
Nope.
Neither did I. Were you surprised of the coverage or the lack of coverage that they got on SportsCenter since ESPN, since the Disney family of networks is the broadcast partner for the XFL?
Yeah, that was one of the things that you and I were talking about, and I was watching the ESPN, and they were talking about Aaron Rodgers' seclusion darkness thing and what it means, and did the he's going to the Jets thing before they even talked about the XFL.
Yeah, when employees of ESPN are the ones calling the games.
Yep.
And they're producing the content. I mean, I don't know if I. probably wouldn't expect. I probably wouldn't expect the XFL to be their lead stories on the. I guess on SportsCenter, but you'd think that all right, we produce this content. You'd think maybe they'd find a way to work 2 or 3 of the plays from those games or highlights into those games into being in the SportsCenter top 10. But you said one play.
Yeah.
One play made it, and they covered it in the middle of the show, showing highlights of the game.
In the second segment, about 2/3 of the way through the second segment. It was terrible. Okay. So the reason I brought up the XFL, the real reason, Paxton Lynch.
All right, what about him? Other than he was a former Broncos quarterback and draft bust from the University of Memphis that didn't work out in the NFL.
So he got benched in the NFL.
In the XFL already?
Well, he then went to the CFL, and he started a couple games, and he got benched there. And then he got picked up in the USFL. And you know what happened there?
He got benched?
He did. Well, this last week, he started the game for the Guardians in the XFL. And you know what happened?
Did he get benched?
He got benched. The first quarterback in history to be benched in all major professional NFL or professional caliber leagues.
Well, I don't. It doesn't sound like he's been to the Arena League yet,
Well, that's not a major.
or the Indoor Football League.
But yeah, I think that's where he's heading next. So see if he's gonna. He might make a stop in the Quad Cities. See if Hugo can catch a game with Paxton Lynch getting benched in a Quad City uniform.
Gotcha. So I guess one more quick hit before we go to the NASCAR corner. The NBA All-Star Game.
Oh, you want? Okay, I wasn't necessarily going to quick hits. I wanted to do
might as well keep going.
We might as well. You brought it up, but
going.
I was bringing it up. I brought the Aaron Rodgers thing up because I knew we could make it to 35 minutes just because of all the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But yeah, let's get to the NBA All-Star Game.
So the NBA All-Star Game was Team Giannis winning 184 to 175.
When are we going to hit 200 points in the All-Star Game? Like by one team? How did they not make 200 points?
Well,
nobody plays defense.
No, nobody plays defense.
By the way, I have a plan for how when I get to coach the NBA All-Star Game. You ready for it?
What is it?
We have our token defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He goes down. He's the only one that goes down to the defensive side. And all he does is he chucks the ball down the court to one of our guys, and they take a 3-point shot. Mm. And then after that gets made, the other guy, their one defensive guy, does the exact same thing. And we just do that back and forth to see how many points we can make.
Yeah.
Like, is it any different than what we're getting with the All-Star Game now?
Not really, and I guess Michael Malone was the coach of one of the teams. Just flat out said after the game, this wasn't even a game.
Nope.
But there's nothing on the line in this All-Star Game. It truly is like a celebration of basketball.
But is there any
play?
Time out. Tell me another sport that puts something on the line for their All-Star Game.
Nobody does anymore.
Okay, then to say that there's nothing on the line other than pride, that's what any of those games are. By the way, what's on the line for the XFL on Sunday? Like, truly, what's on the line?
You're playing for pride, but maybe the show that, hey, you might be able to make the NFL.
Okay, but
you could make an NFL
But when
roster.
you're playing, winning the Super Bowl, what does it give you?
Money and an achievement that you're a Super Bowl winner.
Okay, but that's just pride. To say that there's nothing but pride involved in a game, that's all there ever is in any game. It doesn't really matter. Are we going to cut somebody's head off if they lose in the NBA Finals?
No.
So basically, the only thing on the line for the NBA Finals is you get that big shiny ring and pride. I agree. It wasn't a game, but we're at
an All-Star game isn't supposed to be like a traditional game where you're expecting hard-nosed defense, drawing up plays.
By the way, why not do a 3-on-3 game?
Exactly. I think that could be a little bit more fun. Instead of having 2 team captains, have 4 team captains, and you play a 3-on-3 tournament. You play a 3-on-3
how about we
like the NHL does.
How about we do 3-on-3 games to 21 like they used to play back in the day? Not like you played on the playground. 3-on-3, best of 21, first to 21. Do a tournament style. More guys are going to get more playing time. 2 games on at once, side by side. Half-court game. Ooh, dude, that's what you do. You do it as a half-court games. And both games, 2 games are going on at the exact same time. Like,
It could be fun. I mean, the NHL found a way to make the All-Star game more interesting by having it being the four conferences choosing a team and doing a conference tournament and making it 3-on-3.
Yeah, the
That could
NHL
use. I
has.
like your idea of doing that with the NBA. Have four team captains
Yeah,
and don't even worry about having four
have
coaches
6.
do the team.
Have 16 captains.
Oh yeah, because you got about what 14. You got 12 on each side. You got 24. So you got 24.
Yeah. Why not? It'd be more fun. It'd be different. There might actually be some basketball being played. Don't need coaches. You just got 3 guys going out doing the best they can. Let's do it. Okay.
But that's all I got on the NBA All-Star. I didn't bother watching it. Didn't watch any of
Neither did I.
other festivities like the three-point contest, the dunk contest, the Rising Star games. But that's it. Anything else? I guess we'll kind of.
We'll come back to
Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go to the NASCAR corner, Mike?
Rich, I do see what's coming up, and it is a left turn. And let's keep making left turns as we head into the NASCAR corner. Presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out on 5th Avenue for all your sports memorabilia needs, or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. This week we had the Daytona 500. Your winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Rich, your pick of Ryan Blaney finished 8th.
And Mike, your pick of Brad Keselowski came in 22nd.
Yep.
Giving me a 1-0 lead going into the Paleo Casino 400 over at the Auto Club in Fontana.
Rich, how
so
much
Mike, on
of
the
the game?
fantasy side? Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to ask, how much of the game did you watch?
I watched the entire race, start to finish. No NASCAR nap.
Oh, I totally took a NASCAR nap, bro. I needed that NASCAR nap. I was exhausted this week. I don't know why.
It was good. Or, I don't know. My wife in the background is saying, no, you took a NASCAR nap. But we watched most of the race, I think.
Okay.
Most of it.
Okay.
So on the fantasy side, Mike, we're up to 8 players in our league. Mike, I think for the first time that we've done fantasy NASCAR together, you were the top point getter for the week.
No, I have been top point getter for the week at times. This is the first time that it's me being in the lead and the top point getter. I have gotten top point getter. It just I was so far behind it didn't matter.
All right, so you got 167. Dupo got 143. The Funkhouse came in with 121, which tied Jordan the Supus at 121. I came in 5th with 116. Jenna Beans got 90 points, and Jeffrey the Stroop got 82 points. The Easer Ease did not place an entry. Easer Ease, if you're out there, make sure to set your lineup and play along.
I will send him a message because the Fantasy NASCAR doesn't send a message about it, so I'll send a message to him after the show and be like, "Hey man, you forgot. I don't know if you want to do that this year. You're still in it. I can remove you." But
so I mean, it was a good race, all along.
Really clean race for most of the race.
Yeah, you didn't really have a lot of wrecks or most of the wrecks came in like that final 10 laps of the race.
Yep.
When even the announcers were saying, all right, at this point in the race, it's everybody for themselves.
100%.
You're not going to see the team loyalties of, all right, let's try and stick together, and the manufacturers trying to stick together to win that pack racing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it was good racing. I was happy for it. I'm here for it. NASCAR's back. Let's do it. I'm so excited. It was fun to watch.
Going into Fontana, Mike.
Yep.
This is the final race on its current 2-mile, or is it a 1.5 mile configuration?
I think it's a 1.5 miles.
Okay, 1.5 mile configuration, as there will not be a race at the Auto Club in 24 since the track is going to be reconfigured. So, Mike, who is your pick to win, and maybe any advice for setting your fantasy lineup that you may want to share.
You know what? Kyle Larson, he loves this track. I picked Kyle Larson. I just do.
All right. I'm going with Kyle, but I know my wife's not going to like me rooting for a Kyle Busch to finish higher than Kyle Larson, but I'm going to go Kyle Busch. He's just really really good at this
He
track.
really is.
Two
Really
wins.
is.
He's won at this track 4 times. He's in double digits and top 10 finishes and top 5 finishes at this track. So I play to win, not necessarily. I'm playing the win this year. I want to build up that big lead like I had in years past.
Yep.
So I want to keep the streak going. So I'm going to go with the guy that has a great history at this track.
I don't blame you at all. That's a good pick there. Um, in fact, I think I have him in my starting lineup for the.
And so do I. I'm using Larson on this track. That was between Larson and Bush. One of those Kyles was going to be my pick to win
Yeah,
this week.
yeah, I like it. So I'm totally gonna put Kyle Busch in my starting lineup. He's coming back this year, trying to prove that he still has what it takes, and I genuinely think he does. So, um, by the
All
way,
right,
I
so
totally missed an opportunity last week.
Mhm.
I could have picked Jimmy Johnson.
You could have picked Jimmy Johnson in the race, and you know what? Surprisingly, he did really well in that race. He was in
It's
the
not
top 10
surprising.
for a big chunk of that race
He knows what he's
before
doing.
he got. Yeah, and how about Travis Pastrana? He
Oh man,
didn't wreck, and he finished in the top 10.
he did.
He
Travis
survived.
Travis Pastrana is a shock to me, and it's man. Okay, um, I Travis Pastrana is and this I don't know if this is going to mean anything to you. I doubt it will. But Travis Pastrana doing as well as he did is paving the way for Cletus McFarland to make it into NASCAR.
And who's Cletus McFarland?
I knew you were going to ask that. Cletus McFarland is a so he legitimately was a law student
Okay.
who quit law school, in his words, to be a professional redneck. His main sport that he was known for the longest time was just drag racing. He's a YouTube sensation. He 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 lives in Tampa, Florida, or Bradenton, Florida,
Mhm.
and he does all of his stuff out there. He bought a circle track, DeSoto Raceway, that he calls the Freedom Factory. He is, I mean, what he does is he builds really fast cars, plays with toys that any grown 30-something, 20-something, 40-something would love to, and then just does random stuff. He's just a YouTuber, is really what he is. But he's gotten behind the wheel of some cars and legitimately, like, big name races, and proven that he deserves to be that anything that has wheels or anything that you can drive. Because he actually went through and did jet boat racing for a while and has won competitions in jet boat racing. Like, never done it before, watched it, was like, that'd be fun. A fan found out that he wanted to try jet boat racing, got invited, got allowed to earn his license for it, and then won an event. He did.
Wow.
Do you remember Robbie Gordon, or at least the name Robbie Gordon?
Sounds familiar.
He was a NASCAR driver. He was an IndyCar driver. Now he does stadium trucks, and they're the ones that you see do those big jumps, and they drive, and they're cockeyed on 3 wheels, and they in the turns and stuff, and he went and did that and led. And if it wasn't for somebody's accidentally spinning him out and flipping him, he probably could have won that race. His first time out in a stadium truck car. Like, the guy, you put him in a car. He hosts Crown Vic races and does all this stuff, and it's ridiculous. He's over the top, but legitimately, Travis Pastrana doing as well as he did is paving the way for Cletus McFarland to be on NASCAR. I'm going to clip that and share it to a bunch of places, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, real quick.
All right, so you can catch. Go ahead, Mike.
Yep. Let people know where they can find the Pele Casino 400 at Auto Club in Fontana. Where are they going to be?
All right. That'll be on your local Fox station if you want to watch it live, and you can catch that. I believe it's a 2:30 start time in the Central Time Zone.
Okay. Rich, anything else?
I do not. So that has been the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, down on 5th Avenue, or you can also find them on the eBay. Okay. So, Mike, another bit of news that winter is finally over. We get our first Cubs spring training game.
Yep.
2:05. I don't know if it's going to be on Marquee Sports Network or on the radio, but
should be.
They're going to be on this first. They're going to be on the first game, and although I'm sure they're not going to play too many innings, you could get a first look at what the Cubs opening day lineup could look like, because David Ross has come out and said all he's going to play, he's going to start his projected starting lineup right out of the gate.
Yep.
So you're going to see Happ, Bellinger, and Suzuki out in the outfield, with going around the infield be Wisdom, Swanson, Horner, Hosmer, and Jan Gomes.
Man,
behind the plate.
Is it just me, or does that seem like a really good team on paper?
It could be.
Like,
it could be.
Like, I'm looking at this team, and we're getting weeks ahead of ourselves, by the way.
Exactly. We're going to be. We'll kind of talk about how we're going to cover baseball as this entire month they'll be in spring training, and kind of ramping up to opening day on the 31st of March.
But this team, the names alone get you excited. Like, we might actually be able to do something decent this next year. So, okay. So this week, look for spring training games on the Marquee Network. Also, March 3rd, which is next week, or 2nd if we have to do a Saturday show randomly, or a Friday show. Our next show is going to be what you and I think the Cubs should look like this year and what our hopes are. March 10th, we're going to do the Cubs over-under and what our guess on the over-under. Do you want to do a guess on the over-under? We'll put it in the show outline before either one of us looks at it, and then we'll say what the projected over-under is, and then we'll say whether we would take the over-under.
Okay.
Then 17th and the 24th, what are we doing?
17th, we're going to give you our predictions for the division winners and the wild cards. So basically, who's going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And the 24th, which will be our last show before the regular season starts, we're going to give you our American League and National League championship team predictions and a World Series prediction.
That is 1 month, Rich. We are 1 month away. Are you ready for baseball? I mean, I'm watching baseball tomorrow.
I really am. I mean, I've to be honest with you, Mike, I've been watching some baseball. Not baseball in the traditional sense, but baseball.
Oh, okay.
As the past 2 nights this week, my wife and I tuned into YouTube and watched some Savannah Bananas baseball.
I showed my wife
from start to finish.
I showed my wife what is banana ball, and she actually is like, "Huh, that could be interesting." So, okay,
Yeah.
spoiler alert.
So far it looks like you can watch all of their games on YouTube TV, on their YouTube channel. It's a live broadcast, and it's only 2 hours. So
Hey,
you can easily plan your night to know, all right, 2 hours, this game's going to be over.
yep. Okay, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. We are going to talk about The Masked Singer. We're going to give spoilers even for me.
That's right.
Okay,
All right,
that's
so
enough. Now, Rich, give us the spoilers.
All right, Mike. So we had three competitors. You had Medusa returning from week 1. You had the Rock Lobster and the Snow Owl, the Night Owl. The Night Owl was by her. So the Rock Lobster performed the ABBA song. Oh crap! I don't remember don't remember what song they performed. But it
wasn't Dancing
Howie.
Queen, and it wasn't. That's the only one I know.
No, it wasn't Dancing Queen.
Oh, Mamma Mia! Mamma Mia!
Mamma Mia! It wasn't Mamma Mia or Dancing Queen.
Okay.
But it was Howie Mandel.
Wow.
Howie Mandel was the Rock Lobster. And Mike, when you watch it, hopefully in the next couple of days, you'll know why he didn't move on. Very early in his performance, you'll know why he didn't move on.
He didn't say any foul language, did he?
No, he didn't use foul language. The other guests, the other guesses that they made for that character, you could easily see. Yeah, it could have easily been them too.
Okay. Don't tell me those.
I won't. The Night Owl was 80s pop icon, or Debbie Gibson.
Yeah, I don't care about
Debbie
the 80s.
Gibson.
I don't even know who that is.
All right. And she sang Fernando.
Oh, I forgot that. Okay.
Fernando.
I don't know how that one goes. I don't really care because I don't like ABBA. I don't like 80s music and I don't like ABBA. So
So I don't know. So I mean, it was a fun episode. It was great to watch. I thought they had good performers, and much like the Stallion, which was Sarah Evans, from last week, Debbie Gibson was also. It was revealed that she was a late addition to that night's episode, as she got notified by her agent with 1 day's notice that there was a chance that somebody was sick and had to drop off from the show. With 1 day's notice, she flew from New York to LA to kind of do some rehearsing with on stage with the backup dancers, and it was really close on who could have moved on that night. Wow. 1 day's notice, she pulled it off. Two really good performances on the night.
So, did we get Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia?
Yes, yeah. I believe Mamma Mia was the opening song being sung by Nicole and Jenny, or they lip sync to that song as the panelists were walking out. And I believe Dancing Queen was sung by Medusa.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Whatever, who cares? I'm looking forward to watching it.
So if you like The Masked Singer as much as we do, you can catch it live on Fox, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. Or if you're sometimes like my wife and I, and especially you, Mike, you can always watch it, record it, but also catch it on Hulu the next day.
Yep. Rich, do you have any shout-outs for the week?
No, I do not.
Okay. I don't either. I do. Do I do the? I'm gonna do one shout out this week.
Okay.
And I have two shout outs next week. I don't know how I want to do this, but my little brother's birthday is the 27th.
Okay.
So happy birthday, Jonathan. You won't be watching, but that's okay. I still love you, and I hope you enjoy I hope if you did catch the show, hope you enjoyed it. Happy birthday to you, and yeah, And then I have 2 more birthdays next week, but we'll talk about them. Because one of them, it
Gotcha.
doesn't happen next week, but it's the closest thing.
Gotcha. All right, Mike. With the live video feed, did we have any comments or reactions to
We did
share
not.
as a shout out? We did not. All right. If you would like to get a shout out at the end of our episodes and you're watching the live video, you're already watching it, hit the like button. Hit any of the reaction buttons. Even if we get the angry face, we'll still give you a shout out. And if your comment is appropriate, we'll read it at the end of the show.
Yep.
Or if we catch it in time in live as we're talking, we'll make sure that you could have a chance to even join in our conversation if we catch it in time.
Now, if you are watching the show but you want to take us on the road with you, check us out wherever you find your podcast. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Rich, if they are listening to the show but they don't want to watch us on Facebook, how else can they find us?
Look us up on YouTube.
Yep.
So, as Mike usually puts those episodes up about the same time that the podcast episode goes live. And like we said earlier in the show, if you're okay with Facebook and you want to be notified when our live videos go on the air per se, or you want to know when we post our poll questions, make sure to look up Balls and Sticks or fans of Balls and Sticks over on the Facebook. So Mike, that pretty much wraps up the show. So what do we got to do next?
We're going to roll that outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich.